So check this out. If you watched any of the scroll-offs, I've been in a couple of them. One of them we did this robin, and I've just left it laying around and haven't done anything with it. Well, now I've got it sanded up nice on the back, got the fuzzies off. I still need to sand the front a little bit, but it'll be okay. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to build a backer for it, and I'm going to make a frame for it, and then we'll call this one done. So I've been procrastinating on this because I've been trying to focus on getting turnings out, and it's time for me to finish this up. So let's take it over to the workbench and see where I'm going so far. Well, I'm out here working on the cross that I scrolled, and I thought I would start working on finishing this robin that I did on a previous scroll off. I already finished the horse from the last scroll off, but I just set this big thing aside and haven't done anything with it. So I am making a backer for it, and I'm going to glue these pieces of, it's just resawn, reclaimed fence board, just pine. But look how pretty the grain in this stuff is. It's just really pretty. It's almost a shame to cover this up back here. Well, why is this side gray and ugly and the rest of them not, Billy? Well, because I'm using that natural wood, including this knot in there, as the background for this limb that he's sitting on. And the rest of this back here in the back will be dyed probably just black, so that it, with contrast, it shows through better. I will leave this one the way it is. These others will be dyed black, and I'm going to cut this to about a 1/2 inch and then make a frame for it. I'll probably make the frame from red oak. That's what I'm working on right now, and I'll video other portions of this as I go along. So I've got this laid out how I want it. I'm going to glue this into panels. These have all been run through the thickness sander. They're the same thickness. This stuff is much expensive, by the way. It's over the next thing. But these things, I don't know. Okay, now what are we going to do with that? When this is all finished, once I've got it glued up and trimmed to size where I want it, then I will run this back through the thickness sander and get this all flat again. And I'm going to do that because this side is going to be the side that shows on the back, and I want it to look kind of like this. In order to make sure that all of these are flat, they're all nice and flat. Okay, now we'll leave that sit till tomorrow. I got it out of the clamps, ran it through my thickness sander to get these more clean than they were. I don't want it any thinner. I could make it could make them all look like this, but I don't want to run it through anymore. I'm just going to leave the back like this. And I have my layout lines drawn for where I need to make my cut. My initial plan was actually to leave this 1/4 to a 1/2 inch oversize. As you can see, that's really not going to work. I'll leave that would all be hidden by the frame that I'm going to put on it. But you would see jaggeds if you turned it around and looked at the back. So what I'm going to do is put this on the table saw, use my miter gauge and sneak up on this angle until I have it where I want it, and then I will cut one side flush. What I may do is cut one side square to start with, and that'll give me a really square face to begin tuning that in. So when I get that done, there's no point in me filming all of that because it's going to take some time. But once I get that done, we'll come back and glue this in place. I got lucky on my first pass and got this cut square exactly how I wanted it. And then it was just a matter of continuing the process and squaring this up, because once you get one side square, it's easy. So now, as you can see, it fits perfectly. And I said we'd glue this on, but I'm not ready for that. Y'all let me forget, I need to dye this wood where the bird, so for contrast, so the robin stands out better. I'll just go black down here, and I may go red up here, and black for the rest of it. When I get ready to put the dye on this, I'll come back. Alright, I've got this roughly sketched back here where I want the dye. I want to be real careful around the wood so that I don't get dye where it doesn't need to be. That's the red. And for the black, I'm going to use what I always use. Black, actually Speedball Super Black India ink. I always use it for. You don't need to be perfect. I'm not going to show it. You just want to make sure you get enough coverage. It looks like it's different than the Oh yeah, baby. See the red back there? And the black? Perfect. Looks good, I think. I'm happy with it. Now let this dry overnight. I want it to be nice and dry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a coat of sanding sealer everywhere there's dye, basically just shellac. So I'll put a coat or two of shellac under that. That way I won't have to worry about the finish getting in there to it. There will be finish on it already. And I will apply shellac to the limb as well. So I will let this dry overnight and come back in the morning. I think this came out really pretty. What do you think? So now it's time to glue the cross in place. I'm only going to put glue around the edges and not much of that. You don't want any squeeze out on these if you can help it. To be honest, Elmer's Glue All or any good white PVA would probably work better than Tide Bond for this because they dry clear. Get my calibrated eyeballs on it. Equal all the way around. And I'll leave that under the clamps, if you will, for a good 3 hours, and then I can take the weights off. Okay, I have a couple of good coats of shellac on this. I'll let this dry overnight, and then in the morning I will probably shoot it with 2 coats of semi-gloss lacquer just to further protect it. I've got my logo burned in the bottom. It's wetter, I'd show you, and I've got to put a hanger on the back. Other than that, this one is nearly done. Okay, last week I milled the frames. I've got a slight chamfer cut on this, and I've got a 3/8 inch rabbet on the inside that just fits the robin picture. And I've got it loosely in the clamp, and it's going to come out. It's going to work just fine. So I'm going to glue these together, and then I'm going to wait several hours for the glue to set up enough, I hope. I may wait until tomorrow. These joints don't work well. I'm going to glue the frame on, so I would have long grain on the plywood anyway, and okay, all the seams look pretty good. So now we wait. I'll take it out of the clamps and sand these up, get rid of the burn marks we saw. That's how I put the chamfer on this. I ran set the blade at about a 7-degree angle and cut a slight chamfer just to give it some depth. And we'll come back. Okay, I have the back, sides, and the top sanded. Everything's nice and smooth, and as you can see, I used red oak stain. This is red oak. It would naturally turn its color over time, but the pieces weren't exactly uniform. So I stained it up. I'm going to let this dry for several hours, and then I will glue it to the robin, and then I will let it sit overnight for the glue and the rest in the stain to finish drying. And then I will come back tomorrow. I'll come back tomorrow and we will put a couple of coats of, I think I'm going to use rub-on satin poly. So here's the robin all done. I think it looks pretty good. Got that piece of older wood running in here for the branch. Got some dye, red and black behind it. I finished this oak frame with several coats of satin polyacrylic. The back is done as well. Got my logo in it, got the hanger on it. And I think it looks pretty good hanging on the wall, don't you? Got 2 scroll pieces done and I'm happy. As I said over on the Messy Studio the other night when I was live, y'all have a very, very Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year. And I'll see y'all next year, Lord willing. God bless.